Happy Tuesday, Anthony Melchiori.
Happy Wednesday.
Look at you looking into the future. I love it.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. We got Anthony Melchiori over there. I'm Glenn Hausman. It's February 15th, 2022. How are you doing, brother?
It's February 15th, 2022, and I'm still walking the earth. I'm good.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome. That's kind of like where I like to set my bar, real low. Just having a pulse, I've done enough for the day. I love it. But you know what, Anthony? I think we're going to push the boundaries a little bit because we don't have one guest. We have two guests today. So I'm very excited about that. In just a little while, we're going to be talking to Frank Marini all about how cool it is to take vacations on the rails as opposed to in the sky or by car or something like that. But first up, we're going to have Lee Hunter on from the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference. And we're going to talk about how stoked I am to be going to that one next month.
Yeah, I'm not saying this because he's sitting in the green room and he can hear me.
Uh-huh.
But that is your favorite conference.
That and the lodging conference. I don't want to take away from those guys, but let's bring them in right now. Lee Hunter, how are you, sir?
I'm great, Glenn. How you doing today?
Good. I love your conference, absolutely. But it's kind of like the Sophie's Choice. I can't choose you guys over Harry.
You can't choose you guys over them in public, is what he's saying.
Well, if I have to choose them, it would only be because they put me on the main stage for the general session. Something I'm hoping one day I will be honored with the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference. But this year, I'm being honored, Lee. We're going to be doing a cool podcast studio out there. That's going to be pretty freaking cool.
Going to have a cool podcast studio, and we're looking forward to it. I mean, the live broadcast, sort of in show as it's happening. I think that's going to be fabulous for, viewers who aren't able to come to attend the conference, be able to log on and watch you on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever their venue of choice is.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. So the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference is coming to Atlanta, Georgia, as it always does. And that's going to be March 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, right?
That's correct. Tuesday, the 22nd to Thursday, the 24th at the Atlanta Marriott Marquis.
All right. So what can we expect, Lee? What can we expect at this year's Hunter Hotel Investment Conference? I'm going to guess it's going to be a little bit different than one we went to in May. I don't think I'm going to be having to be all masked up and having to go through 45 layers of security to get in.
Yeah, there won't be 45 layers of security this year, that's for sure. But there will be certain protocols in place. Nothing extreme. Masks will be optional as opposed to required. We're fortunate here in Atlanta that our COVID numbers are in fact going down here locally. This week, as a matter of fact, schools made masks optional in school. So that's good news for all our kids here locally. So we're seeing positive signs from a COVID perspective and aren't, there's no city mandate or anything like that in place from a mask perspective. So Atlanta is very, open and receptive from a tourist and visitor perspective.
So what's the number one topic for the conference? What do you think people are going to talk about the most?
I think there's going to be three issues. I think there's going to be travel coming back in general, right? Obviously leisure travel's back, but I also think, there's going to be some discussion on corporate, business group travel type thing. But then, the monkey in the room, I think, is going to be labor, as it has been seemingly for months now, and then interest rates. We have a lot of, owners, investors, developers attend our conference, and with interest rates heading where they are with inflationary pressures and the like, I think there's going to be a lot of discussion about that as well, real estate being a hedge for inflation.
So what do you think if I'm sitting on a fund that I need to get to work, am I trying to get that thing to work right now, or am I waiting? What are my options?
I think I would be investing right now. I mean, I can tell you from my what I call my day job at Hunter Hotel Advisors. I mean, we are certainly extremely busy right now putting deals together for our clients, and we did close to 1.5 billion in transactions volume last year in 2021.
Lee, sorry to interrupt.
Um,
Just to get people to understand, Hunter Hotel Advisors is your, real estate consultancy part of the business, and from that was born the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference.
Exactly. Our main, my main day job, as I call it, is I'm a hotel broker with Hunter Hotel Advisors. From our brokerage business and advisory business, the conference was born. So we were real busy last year. I think we're going to be real busy this year. Which is why I believe a lot of it, we'll have the attendees that we have, in March here looking to get deals done.
If we can back up a little bit, how long has the conference been going on?
This will be our 33rd.
Woo,
So,
33rd.
Yeah, 33rd.
So how could you imagine having the business that you have today without this conference?
Yes, actually I could.
Okay.
This is our 33rd. I want to say we've only had the name Hunter attached to the conference for probably, say, the last 10, 12 years.
Okay.
Prior to that, the name Hunter was not involved with the conference. It was.
I don't even remember that. And I've been to like 20 of them.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at, again, I'd have to go back and see, but when we first started, we reluctantly added the Hunter brand to the conference, and that was really at the insistence of our advisory board. They were saying, hey, Lee, everybody calls it the Hunter Conference already. You may as well put the name up there. When we started, we were the Hotel Motel Investment Conference. Then we dropped Motel, and we're just the Hotel Investment Conference. And then we added Atlanta, and we're the Atlanta Hotel Investment Conference. And then that was sort of, the board saw that as too regional and, wanted us to add Hunter. We fought for several years putting our name to it, because it's not about us, right? This is a conference for the industry. It's not for our brokerage, for the brokerage business. It's for the industry, right? We like to say we're the conference where the industry comes together, right? Where everybody involved comes together. We don't do this for us. It's not a profit center for us as a company. I can assure you that. And so we do it for those people. When it started in 1986, my father, who started our firm, was at NYU and was in a panel, on a financing panel, and asked a question about a select service type transaction. I think it was like a $15 million deal, and they sort of belittled him a little bit.
Really?
Yeah. And hey, we don't deal in select service or below $25 million. And, he got his feathers ruffled a little bit, if I can say that. Walked out of the session. Jerry Merkin, may he rest in peace, was, standing right there. He was editor of Hotel Management Magazine at the time, said.
Right. And then he went out to found Hotel Business Magazine, which I worked at back in like 1996, just so everybody knows.
Yeah. So he said, hey, Jerry, if I do this for select service deals in Atlanta, are you in? And Jerry said, yep, I'm in. Bob got back to Atlanta. And I mean, if you'll recall, Alice was UCLA at the time.
Right.
So everything was evolved around a university program.
Right.
So we have Georgia State here in Atlanta, and they've got a hotel school. So he went over to Georgia State and said, if I do this, can I count on y'all? And they said, yep, we're in. And here we are 33 years later, still doing this.
That's pretty amazing. And Anthony, in that time, they've gone from being a Southeast regional event, and people back in the day when I was first starting my career felt it was very Southeast. Now it feels very national, and even all of North America and beyond at this point, particularly with the incredible participation of the major brands. Sorry, Anthony.
No, don't be sorry at all. It was interesting is I asked a question with the anticipation of saying, before the social media and the internet, the Hunter Conference was the way to get your brand out there.
Right.
How it's turned out to be, you guys did the work every day. You did the relationships every day. You did the hard work, the hard lifting, and you reluctantly became a conference with your name on it because you did the hard work, which again, the conference, obviously you make connections, whatever. It's helpful to everyone's business, but you did the hard work. And I think it's a really great testament to your father and to your family that, the conference of course helps. The conference is good. The conference, is one of the reasons you're on the podcast and one of the reasons you make some of these connections. But your core business of doing deals fairly, appropriately, and well is why you're in business for so long. And so it's a real testament and a real example of people who are trying to, build their company overnight or build their company on a Twitter video or on a TikTok video. It doesn't work that way. You got to do the hard work.
Yeah. Thank you. It's a lot of hard work, and like I said, we reluctantly put the Hunter name on it. Again, it was at the insistence of the advisory board, who was like, "Lee, the industry calls it the Hunter Conference anyway. You might as well too."
Yeah. So much so, I didn't even realize that it didn't have the name back then. So, Lee, I'm going to be there. I can't wait to join everybody the 24th, 25th, 26th of March this year. Go to thehunterconference.com to register. But, Lee, before we let you go, one of the insights I'd like is you said you guys did $1.5 billion in transactions this year. What is the state of the transaction market? Anything you could reveal to us as to what's really going on with it? Because we thought it was going to be much different than it seems to have worked out when it comes to 2022.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of capital out there, both debt and equity, looking for deals. That the pressure, if I can call it that, from private equity who raised hundreds of millions of dollars in 2019 with the idea of spending it in 2020. They obviously did not spend that equity in 2020, so they did so in 21. They're still looking because they still have, I feel like everybody has raised $1 billion fund, and they have to invest that capital. And it doesn't do them any good by sitting in a bank account, right? So they've got to invest that capital. So there are groups out there actively, looking to acquire properties. I think, it was on our stage last year, I believe, when Tyler Morris of NCR said, hey, $200,000 a key is the new norm, right? And, we had a team meeting yesterday, and we think that's going up, right? We think, $250, $300 a key could now be the new norm. Tyler's speaking at the conference again this year, so it'll be interesting to see what he has to say. But it's definitely a good time to be both a buyer and a seller. If you look at Real Capital Analytics data for year-end 21, it'll show that Blackstone was the biggest seller of assets. Mm-hmm. It'll also show that Blackstone was the biggest acquirer of assets. So I think it's a good time to be on both sides of the equation, depending on what you want to do with in your world.
Yeah, I remember when a very famous hotel in New York City sold for $100,000 key in 1990, and everybody said that's the craziest number they've ever heard. And now you're saying average deals of $200,000 a key. What do you think, if I can ask, kind of on a side note, of, I don't know if you heard about the Mandarin Oriental in New York City, went for $90 million, a 5-star hotel with all that space, with all that luxury. A couple of years ago, it was $360 million and just sold for $90 million. That's crazy.
I think that's crazy. I feel for the seller. I'm happy for the buyer. I think that, right. I think long term.
The broker. Let's get that straight.
Whoever the broker was, I'm kind of happy for him too. But I think from obviously from an acquisition perspective, they're looking long term. Yeah. We are going to come out of this, right? We already are. Corporate travel, group business, conferences will come back. As soon as, deal guys, salespeople lose a piece of business because they didn't attend the conference, or they didn't go meet with their customer, their client in their office, and his competitor did, and they lose that piece of business to the competitor, that salesman is going to go out and travel. I remember, an old Eastern Airlines commercial years ago, where the guy's handing out paper tickets in the boardroom, and he's like, "What's this?" He's like, "Oh, we're going to go, we just lost our biggest and most tenured client. And so we're all going to go back out and visit our clients, and it's going to start with me. I'm going to go see that guy that we just lost." Yeah. I think that will happen. Just, it'll be on your phone. You won't have a paper ticket. It'll be on your phone. But I think that's will ultimately be what drives corporate business travel back out there. And then conferences will just be a a natural attendance. I mean, we were talking, Alice earlier. I know for a fact, and I'm not going to use names, but I will use generalities.
Yes.
There was a debt provider that did not show up at Alice because their corporate travel restrictions did not allow them to travel. That debt provider's competitor was there and was meeting with all the clients and getting all the business. Well, that debt provider now will have a heavy presence at our conference in March.
Yeah, I'd imagine that they learned their lesson.
Right. And that's just one example of one industry where that has happened. So I think it'll happen, across all industries, and we as a travel and industry will benefit, from that.
Yeah, we sure will. And that is one thing we've been saying here on No Vacancy Live, just what you were saying. Lee, it's time for us to wrap this segment up, but I will see you at the Hunter Hotel.
But 1 second before we go, can I make a bold prediction?
Yeah, go for it.
And if it comes true, Lee, remember I said it. And if it doesn't come true, remember Glenn said it. Okay.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
I'm going to make a very bold prediction.
Mm.
This will be the best RevPAR year in the history of the hotel business.
Some markets are definitely above 2019, so I can easily see that being true.
And the reason is everything is opening up, and it looks like it's going to stay open. And we have the analysis, the talent, and the technology to have occupancy and rates meet at the right perfect time, better than we've ever had in our history coming out of a recession or a pandemic or anything. So I think that the brains and the technology and the ability to manage revenue is going to hit this year perfectly when everybody wants to travel. And I think our RevPAR is going to be the best in the history of our hospitality. Very bold. I said it this day. If I'm wrong, Glenn said it this day.
Totally. My bold prediction, Lee, is that I will be eating some Gus's fried chicken while visiting Atlanta. So
I love it. Calibri Labs, STR, and CBRE are all going to be presenting at the conference. So hopefully a month from now, they'll be well toward agreeing with you on your prediction there, Anthony. But
I will tell
everybody
you,
can look at it. Everybody can go to the website, hunterconference.com, and get registered, and they can hear if you're going to be right or not with your prediction.
I feel strongly about that based on a lot of hard work and doing things for my clients and on this podcast and bringing everything together. It's just, I think I feel it. I think at least the last 6 months of the year will be the best we've ever had.
I think you're right.
All right. Awesome. Lee Hunter, thank you so much. I will see you on March 22nd, 23rd, and 24th at the Atlanta Marriott Marquis for the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Anthony. Y'all have a good one.
Yep. See you later. All right. That was pretty cool. So I'm excited to go to that conference. And Kim, thank you so much for acknowledging Gus's Fried Chicken. I appreciate that. Anthony was not giving me the feedback on Gus's Fried Chicken that I feel I deserve.
I don't need fried chicken. I don't eat anything on the bone. I don't need spare ribs. I don't need anything on the bone.
Wow. I wish I had one of those records.
Dude, you and I have had 100 dinners together. You've heard me say that before.
Maybe I just can't believe it that I throw it out of my mind. But one thing, Anthony, that I can believe is that I think people are looking for new ways to travel. Last year was all about getting into that car and experiencing things. Now I think that people want to get in touch with the real America, and that means going by rail. And that's why we have with us today Mr. Frank Marini, CEO of Amtrak Vacations and Railbookers. Frank, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate it.
Okay, right now, I want to go on vacation from New York. Right this second, give me a trip where I'm going. Go.
Glacier National Park.
Okay. From New York.
Absolutely.
How long does it take me to get there?
Could take a little while. Could take a good 36 hours, but with Amtrak, Amtrak goes to 46 of 48 continuous states. So it's only South Dakota and Wyoming you can't get to.
Wow. So I can get on one train and get there in 36 hours?
You'd have to change trains. You have to change trains, right, in Chicago. But yep.
Oh, I think I'm doing that. I got to go.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. So, Frank, you've been at this for a while. somewhere along the line, we lost the love of train travel. And I'm starting to feel like America is getting it back now. My hunch is, now I'm not a historian here, but a lot of that had to do with the development of the interstate highways and everybody owning a car and stuff like that. And, Amtrak came to being in the 1960s, was it? When I don't remember the exact
70s, but keep going. 70s.
Yeah. And they were kind of brought together to kind of give us a unified transit system that is not government owned, but it is partially federally funded. And I'm really hoping that people love trains so much. So what is it about train travel that people should be thinking about, and why should they do that for the next time that they go away?
The best thing about train travel to me is that it surprises you. You don't have to drive. You don't have to be on a bus, and you can enjoy and see things that you would normally never see by the road or what have you. And the thing is, I think people, the size of the network in the U.S., as I mentioned, 46 to 48 continuous states, you literally can go anywhere, anytime the train runs. So it really is amazing. Most people, even our travelers, don't think of rail travel. They're just travelers and say, hey, let me just try this. Let me try it one way by train. Or I didn't know I could go to the national parks by train.
Right.
So, I didn't know until you just said it. But I want a job, Frank, for you. And I'm actually going to do it for free. Yeah. I'm going to be the guy that goes on the train. And every time I see somebody passing one of these beautiful scenic views, I'm going to slap them in the head and steal their cell phone when they're looking at their cell phone. Okay. Because I can just see a bunch of kids with a family sitting looking at these beautiful views that me and Glenn have on our green screens, and they're on TikTok.
Right.
It should be illegal to bring your phone.
I agree, because some of the places that you get to see, it's just spectacular. But I'll use an example. Glacier National Park, as I mentioned, in Montana. Well, if you take it all the way to Seattle, you go through the Cascade Mountains, which is absolutely gorgeous. And all of a sudden you're like, where am I? How did I get here? Who knew this even existed? So it's pretty amazing.
As a person that's traveled to 48 states and has seen some insane things, I would dare another country to say they're more beautiful than the United States of America. There are a lot of beautiful countries, but even in just New York State, you go from Coney Island to Sheepshead Bay fishing area to Manhattan to Hunter Mountain, and in the Catskills, you have some of the most beautiful views of mountains I've ever seen in my entire life, whether it be Europe, Asia, America, Canada. Insane. So I couldn't. Matter of fact, you really got me going. I'm going on the train vacation.
Okay, good, great. Let me know.
Well, I think I'm going to do that, Glenn.
Yeah, I think that's an absolutely fantastic idea. How cool would it to be? I'm gonna, Anthony, you taught me this magic trick yesterday, so I'm gonna vanish for a second. Look at this. Look how cool is that, to be able to go up into one of these rail cars and see all around you in a very meaningful way at a pace that I think is really nice, and a chance to really experience things.
And then you see this beautiful view right there.
Yeah, look at that. That is absolutely incredible. So, how long are these kinds of trips? What does it really cost? What is the experience on the train like? I got a lot of questions, Frank.
Good. It can be anything you want it to be. So, with our trips, people can customize. They can go for one day, one night, cross country. Anything is customizable in any combination. So it really depends. Some of our most popular, again, is typically visiting the national parks, but I would say 90% of our travelers always take the overnight train. So they get that experience of what's it like dining on the train, sleeping on the train. So it's really anywhere the train goes. So it can be any combination, one night to a cross country.
And I imagine it's a lot more affordable to go by train and have your hotel room, your food, your travel, everything on the train than it is to get on an airplane, book a hotel room, book all your food, book your rental car. I'd imagine this is a very good way to travel, also affordable.
Absolutely. Because when you look at it exactly, Anthony, when you look at it that way, that it is your transportation, it is your restaurant, it is your accommodations. You look at it that way to go to a national park or what have you, a city. Absolutely. When you look at it as an aggregate. Absolutely.
What's the number one, I don't know if you know this, from New York City, what's the number one place people go on an Amtrak vacation?
So for us, it's interesting. Where people are from is not where they go, right? So
Right.
Glacier National Park is actually number one from New York City. Number two is Grand Canyon. Number three is going down the California coast. Some of our customers may fly to one location, let's say like San Francisco, and then train down the California coast all the way down to LA or San Diego, then fly home. So
Right.
again, they may not take the train the whole way. It really depends.
So if I go to Glacier National Park, I take the train there. When I get off, like I'm right there, right? I see everything. I get right off, and I just get back on the train and come back to New York.
You can't. So if you go to Glacier National Park, it's East Glacier Station. The lodge, Glacier Park Lodge, is 208 steps from the station. Bang, and you're right in Big Sky country. So you could decide to go back to New York, or you could continue on, stay a couple nights, or go continue on to Seattle or wherever you'd like to go.
So how about we do this, Glenn?
Yeah.
And I mean this sincerely. We go out to Vegas. Next time we go to Vegas, we go by Amtrak.
That's great. I
And
love
Frank,
that.
we'll do our podcast.
I
We'll
love
get
that.
as close to Vegas as we can, and then we'll rent a car.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think about that, Frank? And you guys host us, and we'll do our podcast the whole way out there.
Come along with us. Yeah.
Yeah. Let us know. We'll get as close as you can, then the car rental to get to Vegas. Absolutely, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Glenn, are you in, Glenn?
I'm totally in, except not the next time I go to Vegas.
That's
That's
tomorrow.
next week. The time after that, I'm all in.
No,
And by
I
the way,
think
we've got a
that's
great
great.
set of live shows coming at you from Vegas next week. But Anthony, you were going to say something to
No,
Frank.
I just think that's great. I did a show, Extreme Hotels in all over the country, all over the world, and I did one on a train. I don't know, Frank shaking his head like you saw it. And we did a train all around Spain.
Yep.
I can't remember. You remember that show?
I do. But keep going.
Oh my God, that was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And it was funny because the woman I wanted to do the show with, she was one of the hostess, was getting off of her shift. And when I met her right before we were about to shoot, I was like, she's got to be on the show. She was dancing and making me happy and singing. And I was like the happiest I've ever been traveling. And then all of a sudden, so no, they wouldn't let her stay because if they did that, they'd pay her overtime. So this other young lady, who was the opposite of her, did it. And it was a completely different experience for me as a host of the show. She was wonderful. She was nice, but she was so muted and so kind of hosty that you didn't really see how excited I was that this train brought the world alive and brought Spain alive. And she was dancing and drinking, and it was so much fun. And unfortunately, and so it really, it's not only the train and it's only the beauty, it's the people on the train that make that stay beautiful and memorable.
Totally. The thing is, when with the train itself, like we were talking about, it is the restaurant, it is the hotel, it is everything, but it is the people, and it's different. Let's say different from a plane where we've got to buckle up, we're in our seats. If there's turbulence, well, a train, you can move around all the time. You really get to meet the people in the location, or even it's the dining car, you could sit with different people as well as seeing the beautiful scenery. So it is a real different experience. I don't think I've ever met anyone who's, when I mention what I do, that doesn't put a smile on their face when they think of the train.
When I was telling Glenn, the best cheeseburger I've ever had was an Amtrak train going to Baltimore, I believe,
Nice.
From New York. And every time we would go by train, we would get these hamburgers. And to this day, I haven't found a better hamburger.
Nice.
What about there was one that came close. That
Which
was
one?
the Hotel Xena in DC.
I take that back, Frank. I take that back. That's when I
Gotta
ran
write
into
that
the
down.
kitchen and found the chef. It says the best effing hamburger I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. So, Frank, I got a question for you in regards to Europe versus America and stuff like that. Europeans seem more primed just because of the way they live their lives and go from country to country to take rails. Are you finding a lot of Europeans pre-COVID, and now that we're heading out of it, come and do stuff in the United States? And are Americans more apt to do European train travel than US travel because they don't realize how cool it is here?
Yeah, great question, Glenn. So exactly right. Europeans are more apt to travel by train because they're used to it. They're more used to it versus Americans. Americans not as much unless they're in a New York, DC. They're used to commuting, but they may not know where the train goes.
I can
Yeah,
remember
That's not a great experience. I don't know if you've ridden the Long Island Railroad lately. Sorry, Andy.
No, my fault. I can't remember one person in my life ever saying I went on a train vacation. Ever.
Yeah, yeah. You don't hear yet an American will talk about Europe and they'll think of, oh, because maybe they went there younger as a kid or backpack. I think of the U.S. though, in general, what we're seeing pre-COVID times, as an example, Amtrak would move 31 million people. They'd be actually the sixth largest airline in the U.S. People don't realize that. What we're seeing, what we've seen pre-COVID and even during COVID, is so many different people traveling on Amtrak because they wanted to get away, get out, overnighting on the train, and realizing they can do so many different things. So it really depends, but getting that word out of what they can do is the biggest thing.
Right. And, even if you don't want to, go here in the United States, you can book through Railbookers, where he's the CEO, and do one of those great European trips. But I want to talk a little bit more about the United States and how you are helping to convince people to take that rail trip, to slow things down for a little bit and actually enjoy things the way Americans used to enjoy things before the TikTok craze that Anthony was talking about.
Right. Well, I think the biggest thing for us and what we're doing is, I joke, we started doing webinars 10 years ago before it was cool to do webinars. So we do consumer webinars, average about 5,000
And
consumers.
FYI, it's never cool to do webinars.
I'm with you. But we average about 5,000 consumers a week on our webinars, but really sharing with them where you can go and what you can do on the train and what that experience is like. Most of our travelers actually aren't rail travelers. They're just travelers looking for an experience.
Right.
So that's a big effort we have to say, no, this is an experience. You can go do this, and this is what it's like. So that's a big effort of ours, just to see. And then it is relaxing. It is slowed down. It is a little different. You can enjoy it versus driving. So that's a big effort of ours.
And is there a VIP car that I can be in where I'm not surrounded by other people?
So if you're in the sleeper accommodations, so a roomette or a bedroom accommodations, that's kind of the sleeper accommodations, if you want to call it the VIP, where all your meals are included as well in the dining car.
That's pretty cool. So Daniel's got a question over here. What's the biggest request customers ask for when booking? Is it first class pricing? And how does all of that work?
It's a great question. It's about the sleeping accommodations. Mostly It's about the sleeping accommodations. How does it work? How do the meals work? You have to get to the train, like the logistics of it, as well as the pricing. It's really all.
Is there a shower in my VIP accommodation?
Yep. In the bedrooms, there's a shower, or if you're in a roomette, there's a private yet shared for the cabin shower. Yep.
But if I want my own shower,
you have it. If you're in a bedroom accommodation on Amtrak. Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you guys connect to Canada and Mexico, though, right?
So we connect to Canada, although that connection's not up and running just as of yet.
Because of border issues, has nothing to do with business. Right.
Correct. Not to Mexico, but we do connect to Canada when that opens up. Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you connect to Japan.
Amtrak? No.
You're
working on that. You're working on that.
Elon Musk is about 2 minutes away from the Japanese San Francisco bullet train. So
why
true.
don't we have an Amtrak submarine car? Like that's got to be somewhere in the future, no?
Why not?
All right. So Frank, take us through what the experience is like. Say we're going to Montana from New York for the Glacier National Park. What can I expect as a traveler? What is that like? Get me excited to sit on a train for a few days.
Yeah, no problem. So you get to the station. It's not like the airport. You can get there 40 minutes, 30 minutes earlier to check in. If you're in a sleeper accommodations, you're in the private lounge, then you get on the train, get your sleeping accommodations, check your bags. And then from there, you can bring your own drinks on. You can go to the cafe car to get some drinks, and then you're off. And it depends on.
I can bring my own alcohol?
Yeah,
yes,
you can't do that on an airplane. That's illegal, but apparently not on trains. That's cool.
No, not on trains. You can bring alcohol, food, snacks on the trains, and then you're off. And whether you're in the dining car, observation car, you're in your own room, snacks, movies, seeing what you're going to experience. And then from there, you're off. We have a set timing for reservations at dinner, either in a dining car or brought to your room. And then there you go, and you're on your way. So you connect in Chicago, switch trains, and then starts again. So it really is an adventure. It really starts the second you get on the train, because it's different from a plane, which is pure transportation. This is transportation and experience at the same time.
Right.
How long does it take to get from New York to Chicago by train?
Top of my head,
18 hours.
It's an overnight train. Yep.
How long?
Like about 18 hours.
18.
So.
Yep.
I did that once coming from Chicago back to New York. And
I've never done that. So Frank, I'm not in the habit of giving our guests homework, but you have homework. give us some days that would work for your company And I think it's crazy that we haven't done something like this on a train, because I'm just sitting here looking at our images on our green screen, and I can't imagine that there's not people watching the show right now booking Amtrak. Like, I'm literally like, oh my God, like, why didn't I think of this before? Go on vacation by train. That makes perfect sense. And I'm kind of a claustrophobic person,
Right.
but if I'm in a VIP car and I have all the things that I need, and I know it's going to stop in Chicago and then going to get off, I mean, I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what, Anthony? The vacation starts the second you get on the train. And I equate this, Frank, to I took a cruise with my family years ago, Disney cruise out of the New York City port. And it was cool taking a cab and getting on, and your vacation started right there. You didn't have all that hell going through the airports and all the stress and all of that kind of stuff. And we were immediately able to start relaxing. So I kind of equate those two things being the same.
That's a great example. That's exactly what it's like, Len, too, because that is the beginning of again, it's not looked at as just transportation. It's the beginning of the trip, the beginning of the journey. That's
right.
exactly right.
How
People
fast
go,
do they go?
Anthony, go for it. Sorry.
That's okay. How's the fastest the train go?
Say that again.
How fast does the train go?
It depends on the train. So it can go anywhere from 130 plus miles an hour to 86. It depends on the train and where they're going through. So it really depends.
Not in the Northeast corridor unless you're on the Acela. Though.
Correct.
They don't go that fast because we have a lot older, curvier tracks. Once you get out, I would say west of the Mississippi, even, you're probably getting really, really fast speeds at that point.
You're getting faster. It's not like the high-speed rail of Europe.
It is not.
But it's faster. Yeah.
So what do we have in the high-speed rail, Frank?
That's a bigger question. That's a longer story. The main one I can say is you got to go in a straight line. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So, if I could just put it down, straight line and then other things on side of that. But if you can't go in a straight line, you can't go fast. So.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'll go flying off the track if you're going too fast. Damn, those physics always screw you every single time. But yeah, Frank. Now I took the train once from London to Paris, and I was super excited about that. And what I really liked was I got to go through the Channel, but it was really cool because I didn't expect that it would be like a first class travel experience. We were in the business class car and we got champagne, and then we had like a full meal, and everything was of a high quality, and it tasted great because you didn't have to worry about compensating for a loss of taste when you're 37,000 feet, so it wasn't oversalted and stuff like that. So I assume that the experiences that you are helping people book could really focus on not just the views, but great food and wine and other experiences as well.
Absolutely. From the European side, all the European different carriers have all different levels and different meals as they're bringing that all back. Some great experience. And Amtrak last year, reintroduced a higher level dining, which they really did an amazing job with all the different menus which we have online too. And it's really an experience. Yeah. It really is cool.
That's pretty cool. Anthony, so we actually got a note backstage from somebody, and she was saying, I got to ask you about Godzilla bookings. That sounds pretty fierce.
What's that? I'm putting Frank's phone number in my phone. Sorry.
People who haven't traveled before but are now going twice as long or adding two bucket trips together, bucket list trips together. That's awesome.
Yeah. So what we've definitely been seeing is, because of the pent up demand, people haven't traveled. They're going big. They're going luxury. They're spending a lot, and it's about missed celebrations, missed anniversaries, missed birthdays, and they're really adding on. So, bedrooms, and that also relates to the hotels and the sightseeing we're seeing. Our average sellout price in general is 47% higher than last year. As they're spending more, they want that experience. So.
Wow.
So my prediction is going to become right, Glenn.
Yeah.
RevPAR is going to be record highs.
Oh, you're just looking that up?
No,
you're just assuming that
Frank just said. Frank just proved my point.
Yeah, I think so. Because if you're getting so much attention, the traditional hospitality business and hotels must be getting an insane amount.
And it's going to the corporate travel and groups is not going to come back in 2022 as much as we want. But what you just said, Frank, proves my point. The people that are traveling, leisure travel, they're traveling more. They're spending more money. And as long as the stock market stays okay, they're going to keep traveling.
And I heard your point on the last one, Anthony. I agree with that. I mean, last year, as an example, I'll use last year as just a quick example. We were very lucky. People weren't cruising. They weren't traveling necessarily internationally. So we had 75% of new passengers traveling with us. We had a second best year in the company's history last year. Partly, we were lucky they couldn't go anywhere else. But again, as everyone in hotels and everything goes up, we're seeing that even more so this year. So I think your prediction's
I
spot
can
on.
see the director of sales at Amtrak like 3 years ago going, okay, what's my incentive? I have to have the best year ever. Ha ha. Close all the borders. I got it.
Diabolical. Very diabolical. I love it.
Figure a way to close the borders.
Yeah. So, Frank, we've talked about Glacier National Park. That's great. Definite list trip. I would love to see that. But what are some of the other cool places that people are visiting in the United States and maybe abroad as well?
Yeah, totally. So definitely the rest of the national parks in the U.S., Glacier, Yellowstone, Yosemite as well. A lot on the coast, right? You'll see from the California coast and even down to New Orleans in different areas. So all that. Internationally, what we're seeing as it's opened up for the U.S. market, we see them going to single countries to start with. Part of that is about the restrictions. So they're going just to Switzerland, just to Italy, just to the U.K. to deal with one set of restrictions until everything opens up. The other thing that we're seeing a lot of is those, we don't sell river cruise or cruises, but as people rebook their river cruise, they're adding on to that. So they'll finish in Basel, let's say Switzerland, but then they'll book one of our trips to take the trip down from Basel down to St. Moritz to as it exists. So seeing a lot of cruise add-ons, and we're not a cruise operator, we're rail.
Right. But I love that idea because river cruises in Europe have really, pre-pandemic, they were going up, 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 up. People like it, suddenly the world discovered them. How cool is that to put a train trip in with a river cruise? Oh, Anthony, that sounds really a whole
You know
lot.
what I say about river cruises? No, thank you.
Really? Why?
I don't know. Just like I look at the train, I'm like, I'm excited. I look at cruising, I'm excited, but I don't know. I've been on a river cruise once, like a half a day one or whatever. Not my thing, but they're wonderful.
I would totally do that. I think that would be more my thing over there. I think that'd be really awesome to be going down these narrow rivers and see all these old European cities.
Well, if you haven't noticed, Glenn, you and I have a little bit slightly different personalities.
A little bit. All right. So Daniel is asking, hey, what's going to need to happen to make your numbers surge even more? New destinations on the horizon?
It's a great question. You know, for us, there's always new destinations, meaning like in the US, 500 stations. In Europe, there's 26,000 train stations. So the infrastructure is already in place. So it's really as soon as customers want to go to whatever it is. We're very different. We're not waiting for something to be built. The infrastructure is already in place. As people discover, hey, I can get there. It's only this far by train. I can, which is, again, that's kind of what we're seeing on the river cruise side, is people saying, hey, I'm going to go over. I'll extend my trip and let's hit here, 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 and here. So for a destination, we're always monitoring what customers are looking for because they want to extend their trip and the train already goes there.
That's pretty wild. I'm like blown away. 500 stations?
500 plus stations in the US.
I just Googled it. There's 472 New York City subway stations. So the U.S. needs to do a little bit better with getting more destinations and bringing back the love to travel. What is it going to take to get more people to travel? I think the biggest problem we have with rail compared to Europe is our country is just so massive that it's more of a commitment. So what are you doing to show people the love of going on the rails rather than the air or by car?
Yeah, great question. Again, I think for us, the number one thing is showing where you can go by train, where you can go by rail, because really we're still a destination-driven product. The rail is the experience, but you still have to go somewhere, right? No one's just getting on the train, going in a circle and going home. They're going somewhere and experience it. In many cases, we may be a trip before a trip. In other words, hey, I'm going to go visit my son who's in college, but let me take the train there and stop along the way and hit some things. So it's really continuing to push that message of all the variations and things you can do, because in many cases we're just a piece of someone's overall vacation.
Right.
They could be doing a conference and we're a post trip or what have you. It really depends.
But it also sounds like it's highly customizable. So you could do one element and do something else not related to you, come back and do another element of the rail trip, that sort of a thing.
That's exactly right. So we do measure what customers are doing with us, even if it's not with us. So we have an idea. So in our marketing, we share that. Are you doing a river cruise? Are you visiting family and friends? Hey, do you want to do this pre and post? Because everything's customizable.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anthony, you're muted. You are muted.
I still kind of in shock that it's not the first thing or a second thing or even third thing on everybody's list. I'm racking my brain to see if I've ever met anyone. Hey, I took a train to the national park from New York. Like, that's crazy. Like, why are we so fast to get on trains? And I would imagine when you get on a plane, God knows what can happen, right? With everybody on the train on the plane these days. But on a train, I would imagine there's a lot like-minded people. When you're going on a vacation and you're going to be in a train for 12 hours, 13 hours, I guess you're a certain type of person that likes to explore, that's open-minded, and I would imagine it's a different customer.
It is. It's still a broad ranging in customer. I think the difference, going back to your first point, is, even I don't have a lot of people saying I'm looking for a train vacation, no different than I have someone say, hey, I'm looking for a plane vacation or a car rental vacation, right?
Good point.
But when you take the mode of transportation out, when you get on the train, you see lots of different travelers. But to your point, Anthony, they're travelers. They're independent. They're looking to really experience a destination, the train itself, where they're going. And they have that commonality amongst them, and they're a little more, I don't say adventurous, but it's typically new to them. Like, hey, this will be cool. Let's try this. We haven't done this before. So that's really what we see.
My guess is that most people, when you're just not in the train travel, is just not in top of mind awareness for vacations. Everyone's typically drive, cruise, plane. And
Right.
Because rail hasn't been front and center, we always think of it as a more old-timey thing. That's kind of where we need to make a little bit more progress. But I'm excited by the whole notion of it and laying down. You got Wi-Fi and stuff like there if I need to get some work done?
Yep. There's Wi-Fi on the trains. Yep.
Yeah, because if we're going to be doing big broadcasts from there, we got to have some Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So I'm going to be texting you right after this podcast, my friend. I love it. I'm already thinking about telling my girls, like, they want to go on vacation, like, go on a train. Maybe we'll go on a train vacation next year. But I like the way you look at it. It's not a train vacation. It's a vacation that happens to be on a train, and the experience of the train is cooler. Like all these kids, I just found out this morning, a friend of mine said, oh, my friend is renting or buying a minivan or renting an RV. I can't remember what they said. And they're going to go travel around the country for 6 months. Yeah, good luck and God bless you. But that gets old. That's TikTok.
Right.
Like, that's 2 seconds on TikTok. But go live in a van with your best friend for 6 months. See if you guys, are best friends after that. And this, to me, is a really good alternative because you can rent a minivan for maybe a week, go to a different location, get on a train, go to a different part. So it breaks it up, and you feel more human. Than I think my worst nightmare would be rent a van with Glenn and travel for 6 months in a van around America. I think that would be. I love Glenn, but that would be
That's not good. Nobody wants to.
Anyone, Glenn. I'm talking about anyone.
No, totally. Yeah,
Pope could be with me. I'd be like, no, Pope, you're getting on my nerves.
Yeah.
But Anthony, real quick on that point, though, it's an interesting point too, because if you're renting that RV, you're committed to it. So 3 days in, when it was a great idea, all of a sudden, like, right? And some like
what people do in marriages.
Good point.
That was a great idea.
Yeah. But I think something with ours we see a lot is people will do an overnight train, then stay at a hotel for a few nights, then get back on, do an overnight train in a different area. So they get both experiences versus they're committed to one, like, okay, we've got this camper for a month. So exactly.
Right. Yeah. Like I'm thinking about if I went to Glacier National Park, I would probably want to break it up before Chicago, like go someplace out, then go to Chicago, then go out.
Yes,
out west.
Absolutely.
But we are committed to going out west via Amtrak. Next time we have to go out there and podcasting our way through. I think that would be so much fun.
It would be so much fun. Frank, how much time do you think we should set aside for a trip going a good 3/4 of the way across the United States? If not,
I probably set aside a good week, 5 days a week. So it depends if you stop along the way. To
right.
At this point.
Yeah, I think 5 days is probably my max that I can probably steal.
Yep.
But
Anthony, I'm thinking we do it. We go part of the way, take a day break, do a show at a partner hotel, and then we can get back on and do some more content on a train.
I'm all in, my friend. And we don't have to go all the way out to Vegas. But I think we have to do this. Like, we have to do this.
Yeah, I agree. Frank, anything else that you want to add that we missed that we should know about before we let you go today?
No, just thank you so much for having me on, the opportunity. It's definitely it's something that I think everyone's got to experience and just try. And again, it'll put a smile on everyone's face because it is a true journey along the way.
And do you partner with any specific hotel chain, or you partner with all of them?
We partner with all, but we have our global contracts with all the key larger hotel brands, IHG, you name it. So,
So
yep.
maybe I'm thinking like one of their big clients want to kind of go with us, and we like stop at one of their hotels, get back on a train, stop at one of the hotels. This could be very interesting.
Yeah, I'm also looking at some of these trips. My kids were talking about going to the Netherlands and stuff maybe this summer because going to Japan doesn't seem likely. And I'm looking at some of the train trips here. A Europe Grand Tour train trip: Berlin, Amsterdam, Paris, Geneva, Venice, and Rome for 12 days. How cool is that?
And then you stay on the train the whole like you stay at hotels, or you basically
Hotels.
train. So you get off the train, stay at the hotel, get back on the train, and you
You got
partner with the hotels to make everything easy.
Correct. So they may be off the train for 3 days in a location, 2 days. They can change that or adjust that. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I think that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
And I tell you, when I was in Europe, we had to travel by train for several different reasons, and every time I traveled by train, I was just happier. Matter of fact, there's a video of me on one of my trips
right.
where I was traveling for days, and again, I was just talking to Sarah, our friend Sarah.
Banerjee? Are you talking about author of Hospitality from Within? Available
Yes,
on Amazon.com?
she's actually in Sri Lanka, and
Oh, wow.
she just texted me, goes, "How do you do this like all the time?" And I wrote, "And you have to look supermodel pretty all the time, right?" So I remember going through all that. Me supermodel. All right. So as I'm going through it, I'm exhausted, and I was so comfortable on this train that within seconds I was out, and my crew was trying to wake me up, and they couldn't. And I get pretty much get woken up pretty quickly. And I'm out. I'm drooling on myself. And so on the show, they have me like this with my neck touching my neck's touching the back of my butt. I'm so out. And because the train just lulled me to sleep. It was like one of the best naps I've ever had.
Yeah. Well, be sure to go to railbookers.com. Any other websites we should send people to?
AmtrakVacations.com.
Amtrak Vacation. Go there. Amtrak.
Why'd you say Railbookers? Is that yours too?
Yeah, so we own and operate 2 brands. We operate Amtrak Vacations for Amtrak, and then we own Railbookers, which is worldwide rail vacations. So either AmtrakVacations.com or Railbookers.com.
Beautiful. Frank, any final thoughts before we start dreaming about our next train travel vacation?
No, just to say thank you again, and if anyone's considering it, it's a great add-on or a piece of your overall vacation. Just give it a try. I guarantee it'll change things for you.
Awesome.
Thank you
so
very
much.
much.
Really appreciate you.
Thank you, Glenn. Thanks, Anthony.
I'll be texting you.
That was pretty cool, man. I love that we're trying to do different things. And this is the type of thing I could really get behind. I love the idea of being together as a family.
Sri Lanka.
That's so cool.
Hey, Sarah, we were just talking to you on the podcast. This is live. And we were just saying we're with Amtrak, and we were like, hey, I don't know, somehow you came up, and I was like, she's in Sri Lanka right now. Hi, Sarah. Okay, I'll let you go back to sleep. Bye. I just think that's so cool that we have the technology that I can get my friend that's 18 hours by air in Sri Lanka.
How many hours by train, though, Anthony? You're using the wrong verbiage. Now we only do things in train time. Not
you know what's so funny? I'm sorry to do this, but like we called her and she was like camera ready, like camera, I'm going to sleep ready. Like she still looked good. She's like, hey, what's up?
What is it? It's got to be like 3 a.m. there or something like that.
It's about 12 o'clock.
Yeah. Wow. All right.
Anyway, I knew she was up because she was texting me.
That's cool. Well, thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you being here today. Anthony, any final words before we do the official wrap up stuff?
Travel.
Yep. I love it. Love travel. And you know what else I love? I love the audio version of our podcast. If you don't want to look at our gorgeous faces, well, hear all sultry, dulcet tones. Listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you like to get your shows. We are there. He's at Anthony Hotels, and I'm at Traveling Glenn. Still talking to Sarah, huh?
No, I'm apologizing. That's something you do when you're drunk.
That's
it's fine. Dude, we have to do this. We're doing this.
Yeah, I agree. Frank, I know you're still sitting backstage. A lot of times we say we're going to do stuff. We mean it this time.
No, we always mean it, but we always try.
Then we lose. Then we're not very good at following up. But this one, we've got the passion. We're going to totally do this. All right, Anthony, let's get out of here. So remember, everybody, got one life, so blaze on, and
Be kind to yourself.
see you tomorrow.
Go on a train.